Yes, a very good evening and welcome to the season finale of All Four Back, episode 74. I'm, of course, Chester430, joined as always by my co-broadcasters. First of all, Mr. Hadlington, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dan. Good evening, all.
A very good evening to Shads.
One.
If he's there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the man behind the scenes, of course, our producer, Mr. Tank. Good evening, sir.
Good evening all.
So we have made it to the end of the season, our season finale, episode 74. We're going to run through what got lined up for tonight. We have got the review of the World Championships from Wayville down in Australia. We've got the final two league team reviews in between a break. We've got the Spartans first of all, and then the league champion Dragon. And then, of course, we have the All Four Backs team of the season. Of course, we've all been making votes, and we've all come together with one big team, which had like the most votes. We'll get to that at the end of the show, and of course, and also I will say a bit of breaking news concerning next season as well. So stick around for that. So, in the meantime, I'm going to crack on with the World Championships that took place at Wayville on the very long Wayville track. A lot of talk about this one, but the most, well, I'd say the surprise package was Racer Ryan going through the card unbeaten on a 15-point maximum. Ryan's had a bit of a quiet season this year. We are going to get Ryan eventually in on the show in a few moments' time. Hopefully he's going to be ready for us. But Haddington, I'm going to start with you first if I can, like I always do. A difficult night on a rather difficult track, but you sort of tell him that you had the so I'm getting words messed up here. Christ, last race getting a win there, mate. So go into your season.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. To be fair, it was a really, really difficult meeting. Every race, I know Heppel, as he said it as well. I know he failed to score, but he's so close on a number of occasions of scoring a point. But the races were really hard. I mean, for me, this lineup was probably harder than when I was in the GPs. I'd say, to be honest, I think every race. I mean, that slight little mistake, I think I'm a little one in my first one, and Cam got past me, and then just little bits here and there. But I was, really pleased to finish with a win to end the season, and two great ones, got the 5 of the 6 points. So pretty happy with that, to be fair, getting 6 points in that field.
Yeah, of course. I said before, obviously, Racer Ryan was the standout performer that night.
Yeah.
But the one I saw was the tie for third, where it was a 3-man runoff between TJ, Marecki, and Owen. Owen was completely under the radar. Obviously, he got in last minute, but to be fair, I mean, Marecki, after scoring a last in his first ride, then scoring 11 in his next 4 to get into that runoff. I mean, he was looking unbeatable once he got that first win in his third ride. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, he was, after his first couple of rides, he was untouchable, really. 4 straight wins, I said again, in a field with that quality of riders as well. But I think we can't forget the other 2 in the runoff. There's TJ, obviously. He's only rid a handful of matches in the league and came in. And for him to score 11, I know he's won GPs, but to score 11 and finish 4th in his first World Championship. And also Owen continuing his fine season and finishing 5th. I think if you'd have said to him before the meeting, you're going to finish 5th, I think he'd have taken that, to be fair.
Yeah. A couple of other noticeable surprises, I will say, was the former track record holder, Mr. Heppel, not scoring at all. Very surprised there for Heppel. And another one was Cam, the BLRC champion. Started off with a race win, but seemed to tail off at the bottom end. I'm going to bring you in if I can, Shads. Again, obviously as a neutral. Your thoughts on this World Championship? Of course, it was a very competitive meeting.
Yeah, it was brilliant racing. I think we only saw one race at the end. I think Speedy shared his screen and put a race on. But I watched the recordings and yeah, I mean, Ryan obviously streets ahead of everyone else. I mean, once he was ahead, there was no catching him. But you
Yeah.
said Cam was a big surprise. I expected a lot more from Cam. Especially the amount of practice he put in as well. And yeah, him and TJ, it was interesting to see who scored the most points. I think it was
Mm.
pretty much decisive from TJ there. But I thought Marecki was pretty unlucky. He was. I watched his races, and he was like, in his first race he didn't score, and then after that he looked pretty much on the pace. I think he'd be disappointed with that first ride. He might have been in for a run off for second place if he hadn't have got that last place in his first race, which is a race which he should have got something out of really. Just had a poor. I think he was in second place, and he was passed by Steph, and he was riding the inside line the whole race, and I think he went a bit mid bend on the last bend, and just got followed up by TJ and Squall. Just a little mistake there. I think he would have been okay for second place there. Yeah, but he messed up a little bit. But he can't take it away from Ryan. Superb on the night, and he's capable of these sort of scores, but he just doesn't seem to string them together in the GPs for some reason. I think if he was a bit more consistent, he could put a lot more pressure on Stefan at the top of the GP standings. But unfortunately, he had to pull out early this year, so pretty much left Stefan free in the GPs. But no, it's good to see Ryan,
Yeah.
when he can race. And it wasn't all from the gate. He had to do a bit of passing as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
well done to him.
Well, we can actually ask the man himself how his night went. We do welcome in the newly crowned world champion of the Somerset Spartans, Racer Ryan. Good evening, sir.
Hello, are you okay?
How you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm all good. Are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. First, mate, many congratulations. It was a flawless night for you.
Yeah, well, the score says it, doesn't it? So, yeah. My gates weren't too good, but I just made good first bends, really, and just managed to hold off the opposition, and yeah, it all went to plan.
You've had a bit of an up and down season this year. We're gonna keep you on for the Spartans review as well if we can. But I say to finish off the World Championship with a 15-point max, it's very rarely been done, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know how many's been done, but yeah, like I say, it's a good achievement, really, and no one really got close to passing in the end. So yeah, like I was happy with the max, and obviously winning it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, mate. I'd say we're going to keep you on for a few more minutes. We're going to do the Spartans team review and get your thoughts on the Spartans review. So if you can, Ryan, do stick around if you can, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll chat to you in a little bit. So that was the World Championships. We are now going to move swiftly on to the Spartans team review. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Hadlington. Over to you, good sir.
Hello. Well, yeah, obviously I've been tasked with the Spartans review. Obviously we all know they rode on Somerset this season, which seems to be a popular choice of track in the league in recent seasons. Second place finish for the Spartans, but I just want to start off by looking at the team they had at the start of the season, which was, as you can see there, as Racer Ryan was the golden pig. At the start, they had DL Shaw, captain at number 1 there, Mackinnon, Stephen, Skyrider, Neil, Westy Boy, and then Medford replaced Ivy before the season started. For me, that start of the starting team was looked pretty solid. I think I think if there was any question marks, I think there'd have been Mackinnon coming in from the Norse, and probably Neil, I'd say. I think the rest could have easily rode to their average, as we'll see later on. But then, obviously, the team changes had to occur. And if we just look at the first half of the season results, here we obviously the draw, the first match against the Cowboys, and then a win against the Panthers. Started quite well, unbeaten in the first two, but then the next three matches, 10-point loss on the road to the Dragons, and then that home defeat by the Scorchers, and the 14-point loss at Wolves. But then, obviously, we all know what happened with the team changes going in the second half of the season. Unfortunately, DL had the work commitments and had to step down. Mackinnon was also out the team, and Neil, and the Riders brought in Wolfie, TJ, and Brendan, done a cracking job to push the team on, and they were unbeaten in the second half of the season, which was actually the longest run of any team during the season. But I just want to highlight that Cowboys victory there at the top, the first win with the new Riders. That actually came just 2 weeks after the signing of those three Riders. And as you can see, they ended up winning 6 matches of the 10, drawing the one and losing just 3, finishing very close second. But I want to bring Ryan in if I can, if he's still there.
Yeah.
I just want to see what your thoughts on the team changes, and obviously how that affected the morale in the team the second half of the season.
Yeah, it was definitely a season of two halves. First half of the season, obviously with the lack of, unavailability and stuff, it was a bit difficult. But yeah, so as soon as the team changes come in, we the team morale was good. Everyone was training, and yeah, we just wanted to win every meeting really and see how far we could get, because I think we were in like 5th or something. So to get to second and win every meeting, it was good. And like I say, the three riders who come in, lifted everyone, and just look at their averages really, and it says it all really.
Yeah, I was going to say the three who came in all put over nearly 1.5 points, I think it was, on their averages there. For Toby in his first season, we started on the assessed average of 750.
Yeah.
Getting up to 894, which was the second highest I think it was in the league in the end. I mean, that's some going. I mean, how do you rate him along the newcomers you've seen in recent seasons?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best, to be honest. And he's as quick as anyone. He's too quick, really. I was telling him about me when I joined, and I was never as good as him, nowhere near. So yeah, he's definitely one of the best. I'd say him and probably Zagar in recent years have been the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to agree. I think he's been the best newcomer since Zagar, as you said there. But I just want to touch on your season there. You averaged 8. I know you dropped down just over half a point, but as I was going through the stats the other day, and I actually found in the one meeting you actually was part of 5-5-1s in the same meeting. I mean, I don't think that's been done for quite some time. I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, I haven't checked every stat going, but and you top the bonus points. For me, that brings obviously as well bringing in those 3 guys at the top. A lot of looking out for each other as well on the track. How did you find? Who would you say was the best one to ride with this season?
I think everyone really. Everyone got dialed into Somerset, and like when I was riding at 1, I think Wolfie and Skyrider got a maximum at 2. So any of them, and then early on, Westy Boy was just unreal. Really, I think he scored like double figures first 3 or 4 meetings. So you know,
Yeah.
you flying early on, and like I say, it was just the easier job for me. Like because obviously I like team riding and stuff, so it was good because they were all very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we see that enough. Real Speedway and obviously on this game, team riding seems to be a bit of a dying art these
Yeah.
days. But obviously, as you mentioned, you got a few 5-1s with Westy, but I think it was the one meeting when you had rider replacement, and you
Yeah.
got like 3 5-1s with Westy, but in like 3 or 4 heats or something, and I was just like, wow, kind of thing. And to me, I think that's why I've gave from when we started. Obviously, I rode with Westy last season. I mean, but the improvement. I mean, he's always around in practice, but to put that much on your average and maintain that as well in the top 5, I think to me, would he be your rider of the season for the Spartans?
For me, Westy Boy would be, because I think you have to give it to one of the riders who started off as started off from the start, and obviously Westy Boy was early, during the early season he was, the revelation of the team really. So yeah, it'd be Westy.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I'm glad you agreed. To be fair, to put in that much on his average, but I mean, even lower down the team, obviously, Skyrider was ending up at reserve and ending up with over a 7 average, which is his highest, I think, since he's been on the game. And also Tank. I mean, I think halfway Tank was around about the 4 or 5 point mark, and he just dropped narrowly in the end. So, I mean, it looked obviously an all round team effort. But just touching on the gate stats we got on there as well. Gate 2 and 4 at Somerset. I presume Gate 4 was your favourite.
Gate 4 probably, yeah. But like if I was team riding around now, I'd prefer an inside gate usually, like 1 or 2. But I don't know, like if the lads rode the line and I could ride a more kind of narrow line out the bends, it was always good if I was off the inside. I mean, any gate there's decent because you can still be leading out off gate 1 pretty easily if you nail the first bend. So
yeah, I have to agree. Obviously, as well, the Somerset track is very popular. I know you've ridden there quite a few times as well. I think my last question is going to be: if you could have one of those riders in your team next year, who would you pick?
I'd probably go with either TJ or Brendan because I think they're I think they'd be able to maintain their average, to be honest. So yeah. I think all of them could, but it's just I think TJ or Brendan. I think TJ I'd go for because I think he'll just keep getting better, to be honest.
I have to agree. I think I'd like to see obviously the full season next season to see what he can do over the full course of the season as well. But as always, mate, I know you've been busy today with your daughter's birthday, so thanks for popping in and sparing us a few minutes every time. And again, congratulations on your World Championship win.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me anyway.
No worries,
Cheers,
mate.
No worries, mate.
All right then,
Thanks.
I'll let you
Thanks,
go. I'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks, Roy.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
Cool. Yeah, that was good having Racer on, wasn't it? Showed what his insight into the world of the Spartans. So I still think that with those team changes they had, if they had them at the start of the season, I think we could have been looking at some different league champions. I reckon with that Spartans team, if they started at the start of the season. But second place for them. I'd say fair play to them. And yeah, I'll say thanks for Ryan once again for popping on. So we're gonna have a quick pause for 5 minutes, or for 2 minutes, as I always forget. When we come back, we're gonna have the Dragons team review, and then of course our season 20 all four back team of the season, and of course that breaking news about season 21. So stick around. See you in 2 minutes. And you join us live here on All Four Back Part 2, Episode 74, season finale of Season 20 with myself, Chester, Adlington, Shads, and Tank. Now we have our final team review of the season. This, of course, is the league champions, the Oxford Dragons, and in the capable hands of Mr. Tank. Over to you, my good sir.
Yeah, so the Oxford Dragons season review, they went into the league season as favourites by pretty much everybody, and you can understand why in some ways, because they also had Stefan, and any team with Stefan in is going to be tipped for it, but they had a good looking team throughout if they could obviously sustain the pressure throughout the season to do, which ultimately we now know they did. Obviously they had a bit of a rocky start to the season due to having a new rider in their team called Leroy then going AWOL, which then brought in Chester into the team to replace, which without that, who knows what might have happened with the Dragons. And yeah, I think they were the team to beat, and they actually finished relatively how they started. They never at any point during the season had a convincing wins as such. They were all kind of close. The only meeting that they actually had their best meeting of the season was in the Knockout Cup first round against the Panthers, where they won 60-30. Otherwise, it seemed as though the Dragons pretty much scraped wins just to get maximum points. And as the season went on, they did lose a couple here and there, and I think it was week 6 and 7 top of my head, that they lost 2 on the bounce, and one of them was against Spartan as well. So they had a rocky patch in the middle, but they still managed to pick up the points, and ultimately that's what makes league champions ultimately in the end. From an outsider, it looked like, I guess you could say that you didn't know if they'd sustain that being at the top, because they'd be missing Stephen 101 at times, Shulio would be missing at times, and it just goes, it's a credit to Squall for the guest and putting the rider replacements in where he did to actually get them through the season. So, and pretty much that is, I mean, Chester, you can come in for this bit. What would you say was the thing that kept you going throughout the whole season, so you didn't, drop and start sliding down the table?
It was, what's it? It was that those 2 matches we had were a little bit of a wake up call for us, having that unbeaten run to start the season. To be fair, we were just, we chat in group messages and saying, we can still do this, we can still do this. And we pulled through. I mean, Heppel, for example, he was literally G'ing us all up. Well, mostly G'ing me up for that. But yeah, the team spirit going in was incredible. I mean, yeah, we had the whole Sculio situation where he had to drop out and brought in Craigie Hurl. Then of course in Sculio's last match he got a blooming paid maximum, didn't he? I think that's right. But yeah, overall, Dragons were just, you said we scraped through. I mean, yeah, there were times I thought, this ain't gonna, we're gonna be on the back foot here, especially that Wolves match at Oxford went down to a last seat decider. But it was it was just the team spirit we had kept us all together. We were training as much as we could. Of course, there were times where I was sat on the sidelines for a couple matches, just being part of a league championship side for the first time, sort of put on a personal level. It was great to be part of. And yeah, it was just a fantastic season, Tank.
Yeah, it sounds it, and I think that it comes on to me. Well, I mean, there's an interesting fact about the Dragons team, not itself, but certain riders that I don't think I certainly didn't until I did a bit of looking back. Of last season, when the Cowboys won, they had riders in that team, as well as they had riders this season in the Dragons team that were in that one, and there was 3 riders, which were Stephen 101, and Superdip. And to have them 3 in the same team 2 seasons in a row, but in a different team, and they've won the league, no matter how they've done it. And that Stefan scores what he does, 101 we know, and Superdip kind of starts, dips, and then, like his name, dips, and then he literally just comes back and piles in the points. So I think there's sort of a theme there with them 3 riders being a key cog in any team, at least in the last 2 seasons, to winning a league title as well. And I didn't even notice that till a couple of days ago, which was a key thing, which goes on to my Dragons rider of the season. Again, it could have been any of them, and rightly so, but the obvious one could have been Stefan, but Stefan gets plenty of mentions and awards and that, and I wanted to give it to someone who normally doesn't, and it was between 2. It was between Superdip and Stephen 101, partly because of the link I just said when they won the league with the Cowboys and season 19. It was a tough choice. I went with, in the end, my Dragons ride of the season is actually Stephen 101, on the basis that whilst he didn't ride a couple of meetings, and there was rider placements for him, or and I guess one other time. When he did ride, there was only two times I think it was, and that at home and away where he was below double figures. Otherwise, he was above double figures. Without them double figures, I'm not entirely sure if they would have won the league. So I think limiting the amount of times he went below double figures actually was a good consistency to obviously support what Stefan we know he can do getting each time. So for that reason, Stephen 101 is my Dragons ride of the season. And that's the season review for Dragons.
And what a review it was, Tank. Many congratulations on that, mate. Yeah, great season for the Dragons. They're going as defending champions in season 21. Of course, we've got some news about season 21 after our team of the season review. So, chaps, if you are ready with your teams of the season now. Now, of course, the times we've done all four back, we've all had our own individual teams of the season, and then that's then brought forward to an official team of the season, which rider gets the most votes from all the riders that were taking place. So I know that Ben Thompson's not here, so I'll just very quickly run up his team of the season. Haz, you want to give your team of the season, mate? Just give us a quick 1-7 of who you picked.
Yeah, I think obviously number one, I went with Stefan. Maintaining that average is just ridiculous. Keep improving it as well. Then I went with Westy Boy. Obviously I named him as a Spartans rider of the season, putting that much on his average and not really dropping off at all. Next up, we chose Mareki from the Scorchers. I think he kind of not held the team together, but he was always the one with a double figure score when it was needed. Scotty B from the Panthers, finishing with an 8 average is great stuff again, and obviously his STS form, no brainer. The next one for me, probably the rider of the season. Improved superbly, ended up top of the averages. Can't really say anything else really. Ended up in the GPs as well. Then I went with Rachel Ryan. Basically for the bonus points and the team riding. Holding his team together through that tricky, tough period. And the final one, I'm probably going to surprise a few people with this one, and nobody else actually chose this rider, was Alan McNally. Obviously, we all know when he won the league a couple of seasons ago, he barely scored any points. But now he's
just
at
falling off his
460.
chair.
I think he finished on 460, his average. Improved it by almost 1.5 points, so fair play to him. And he was probably in the bottom grade. Obviously the best one from his grade at the start of the season. So yeah, there we go.
So that was Hadlington's team of the season. Now I'll just wait for Alan to get back on his chair.
Yeah.
Shads, you also have a team of the season, so just run through yours if you can, my good sir.
Mine's pretty similar to Had's, to be fair. Obviously Stefan, team of the season will be complete without Stefan. I think we've said enough about Stefan. He deserves to be in any team. Again, I'm going to go Westy Boy. I didn't really think he'd be able to improve on his average, but he finished over 7-point average, which is remarkable. You think couple of seasons ago, I think we and him were about the same level, so he's kicked on really well. I've got to speak about Cappy, my Panthers teammate, improved his average a bit at number one for half the season, so a lot of pressure on him in a team that wasn't performing really for the first half of the season. We only really come alive towards the end. It was a tough one for the fourth one. It's between Marecki and Cam, but I'm going to give it to Marecki. Cam really should be pushing on for someone who's like league riders champion and SDS champion. You know, his averages stayed pretty much the same. He hasn't really kicked on, but Marecki came back in and has been tremendous. We all thought he'd be really good, but I didn't think he'd be that good. Got to go for Owen. What an improvement on the last couple of seasons where he's been a bit down. I think, you know, teenager, school work, friends, you know, it takes a lot out of you. But, you know, finished top of the averages for Wolves in a team with Paris and Sizzler in, and ads, that takes some doing. My all-four back, Al Hadlington, he's mainly for his second half of the season where he picked up his new cable and picked up his confidence no end. And some brilliant scores towards the end of the season. And I'm going for my reserve. I'm going for David Nofear, one of the top reserves in the league. I mean, I don't really include Sky Rider and Tank as reserves because they're not really reserves. The second strings that have had bad seasons. But David Nofear would be my final one.
That's a good selection there. Shad seemed to be sort of like a carbon copy there. Tank, your team of the season?
Yeah, I went a bit different, as I usually do.
You're gonna laugh at this.
Well,
Wait till you hear mine.
mine was based on basically Riders had to have ridden the whole season, and that availability and, you know, good point scoring. So it wasn't solely they were the best ones necessarily, and they had to be in the positions that they were most likely to ride in, and that at the end of the season from the end of season averages. So at number one goes without saying, and that Stefan is at number one for me. I was trying to think outside the box, and I nearly went with Meraki. Meraki was the only rider to have a winning percentage of 48%, which is the second highest after Stefan. But ultimately, other than that, there was no one else, so it had to be Stefan. Then the second highest rider I put in the team was actually Sizzler, based on being a solid performer, and when on it, you know, if you're not going to touch Sizzler when he gets, I mean, some of the gain that Sizzler's done, whether it's in the league, the knockout cup, or even in the individuals, some of them and that, I mean, I've joked sometimes, but, you know, if I could pull a race back and that for moving at the start and that, I'd love to do them gates as often as that. Then I also put in Westy Boy as my next rider, again going from reserve up to heat leader, and that showed that, you know, he found form and everything, and he maintained it, and he's had a very good season, and I'd like to see him push on with that next season, and I think he can do, as long as he's got the right people around him, but I'm sure he will, even if not, because he is very focused once he gets going. The next ride I had was Cam. Again, has had a great season. Won the BLRC and literally showed what he's capable of. And he also won the Sliders Championship. So for that reason, it was a no-brainer to put him in. And then this is where I went outside the box. I also put Shads in my team of the season because you always, as part of a team, you always need someone who's gonna, always dependable, always to bring team morale, and always pitching in with points. It really doesn't matter whether it's the top rider or the bottom rider at all, and that you need someone who's always going to pitch in regardless, no matter what. And for me, that's what makes a team, and that a team player is someone that's willing to get in, and so that's why I put Shads in. And then I also went with Tintin because whilst he had a difficult start to the season, he can always be counted on 4 points, and he's if he has a good night, or he has the belief and that he will put some good points and that in at reserve. And the final rider, because everyone needs a biscuit, it's Hobnob. Nothing needs more said about that because again, he never gets downbeat about his riding, but he's always there scoring points, and yeah, and doesn't need any more words really for Baz really. And that's my team of season. And I also the other caveat when I'd done this, I didn't want it to favour any one team massively because it had to be one rider from each team for me. Unfortunately, one team had to have two and ended up being Scorchers. So other than that, I tried to be balanced and let everyone from each of the teams at least have a say in my team of the season. And yeah, there you go.
How much did Shads pay you to put him in your team of the season, Tank?
Nothing.
Well, I've got Ben Thompson's team of the season here as well.
I'm so embarrassed,
Mate, don't be. Means you got to come back for next season now and prove everyone and do the same thing.
No, I'm done, mate.
Yeah.
I'm finished.
So I've got Ben Thompson's 1 to 7 here. So his first number 1 is going to be Stefan. 2 is Owen. 3 is Cappy. 4 is Scotty B. 5 TJ Griffiths. 6 was Hadlington. So another team spot for you there, Hads. And number 7 was Pompey. Unfortunately, he didn't put any sort of details as to why he picked them for his team of the season. But I'm sure we'll get there some form of information when we get it. So my team of the season, pretty much straightforward. Did it through personal, interactions and stuff like that, and how other riders performed during the season. So number 1, no brainer. It was Stefan. I think he was in everyone's team this season. My second rider was Cappy. Very impressive second half of the season. Started end of the season number 1. So obviously a great season for Cappy. Hopefully he can continue that next year. Number 3, we Cam. Again, the SCS and BLRC champion. Again, great season. Had a couple ups and downs, but when it mattered the most, he was untouchable. Number 4, Scotty B. Again, another rider who increased his average this year. Hence why I did the Panthers review at the start of the season, or the start of the team reviews, because I knew that Cappy and Scotty would improve their averages. Number 5 was Owen. Again, Owen, a fantastic season. To go from reserve to number 1. Hopefully he can kick on next season if he comes back. He'll be a great sort of challenge. Him and Cam challenging Steph for 21 honours. So obviously fair play to him. Now my last 2, I did go a bit favoritism here with the Dragons. Number 6, I had Squall. The main reasons because Squall gave me the chance this season as a number 8. He could have picked any other number 8, but he went for me. And I repaid him by getting that 1 point we needed in Heat 14 to win the league for the Dragons. So yeah, great team, great captain. I mean, yeah, Oxford wasn't my first choice of track, but I had to ride it, and I didn't score as many points as Steph or a 101. Most meetings. I think I had like all meetings were like no first place apart from one at the KO Cup during that. So I don't think I had actually any home Heat wins as well, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth. And number 7 is going to be Heppel. He was the man. He was every week. He was saying, we can do this. We can do this. Genus are all up in the pits. Me especially, because I was always down in the dumps if I didn't have a decent ride. But yeah, Heppel was in my end of season team straight from the first meeting, because he was the voice that we had and kept us all going. And yeah, hopefully the teams can get selected next season. Hopefully there'll be some regulars. There'll be some, hopefully riders get the same teams in next season, and picking. I mean, deep down, my dream team would have been Craig, Lofty, Stefan, and that's it really. Well, Sis, Powis, maybe Owen, all those lot. But yeah, that was my team of the season. That's not a dream; it's a reality. Yeah, I know, Lofty. So, with all those riders that were taking place, and all the riders' decisions that we have got a final league team of the season that all of us all combined to have the all 4 back team of the season, and that is on screen now. Stefan, Scotty B, Cam, Cappy, Owen, Westy Boy, and Hadlington has made the all 4 back team of the season for season 20. Chaps, Hadlington first for Cam, mate. Well, first of all, congrats on getting in the team of the season. You must be happy with how your second half went as well.
Yeah, obviously picked up a lot second half of the season. I wish I could have started like I finished. We might have finished a bit higher up the table. But yeah, one of those. I suppose it didn't tail off. I did pretty well in the British League Riders meeting, which I should never been in the first place, really. I mean, the 5th average rider in your team riding in that is, yeah, one of those. And then obviously the World Final, finishing 6th. But I think the most pleasing one, being part of the team as well, the team chats, and people mention all the team chats, and even when I was going through that bit of crap time and not scoring points and ready to give it all in, the team just getting behind you, and especially Sis getting behind me and just saying, like, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I was just like, well, when? And then it did happen, and it carried on, thankfully. So, yeah, and winning the pairs with Le Sorcier was a nice touch as well, to be fair, even though he's a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I have to say, Shads, your thoughts on the podcast team of the season? If
5 of mine were in there, so I'm happy with that. As I would have probably pitched Mareki in for Cam.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's pretty fair. Pretty fair. Good team, that. Very good team. I don't know what the points would be on it, but I think it'd be well over the limit.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well,
if you could get 6 teams like that, as strong as that, then that would be a cracking league campaign.
I think that team would have been league champions for definite if that was the case. Absolutely.
Yeah, I looked as well the other day. I know I mentioned a few of you like I looked at who increased the average most in each group, at the start of the season. And the best possible team that could have been picked at the start was Stephen 101, Ads, Cam, Scotty B, Kaney, Owen, and Alan McNally.
Wow. That was very impressive there. So anyways, chaps, we're down to our last little bit of breaking news, and with that, I'm going to hand over to Tank. So if Tank's there.
Yeah, I'm here. I know obviously the season's only just finished, but obviously, you know, eyes have turned to season 21 already, and in truth, have been since about 2-3 weeks into this season, and that just to try and get a head start. But I can announce the loose plans right this minute, and more will obviously keep coming. The sign-ups for season 21 will be opening on the 6th of July, so in just over a week's time. They will be open for 3 weeks, and then team building is planned for the first week in August with chat choices and the GP and SCS challenge before the first fixtures at the end of August. The league won't start till September, and the season will run through till mid-March, and with a 2-week break over Christmas. All the competitions will be mingled in throughout the season. There will not be league, knockout cup, and obviously that we are going to put the BLRC, if we bring back the Reserve Riders Championship back, and all the other competitions, they will be throughout the season and not all pulled at the end. So everyone was in that, but we're now trying to integrate them so that, you know, it's not all pulled at one time. And we are looking at returning the Neil Potter Shield, which you could class as a
good.
as a playoffs, but it won't determine the league champions. Whoever wins the league and that will win the league. When it comes to the Neil Potter Shield, it won't determine league champions. Basically, it's separate. It'll be sort of a playoffs, but it won't be. It's just something a little bit extra to fill out a couple more weeks, and also a bit of extra silverware for teams to go for, so they don't feel there's nothing to so there's nothing, you know, and it just ends suddenly and that's it. And it also brings back our good friend Neely, and that who's done so much for the game and keeps his name running in the game as well, because it's been a while since we've had anything to honour him since. But until obviously we know numbers and everything, which we're going through over the next couple of days and the next week, yeah, we don't know much else past that right this minute. So, and yeah, and that's the news on season 21, and the feedback form from this past season will be going out over the next week as well. So, so yeah.
Brilliant. So what Tank?
Can I just say something regarding the sign-ups and the start of the season? I'm wary of having a 2-month break between the start of sign-ups and the start of the season, because you know what happened last season. People signed up for the season and then disappeared. They weren't there the sign-up night. So I think we have to be careful when we get towards sign-up night that the people that signed up still around. I'm talking of someone like Leroy, Ivy. You know, they signed up, you know, pretty early on, but then when it came to the sign-up night, they weren't there or they pulled out early. I'm a bit wary about the 2-month break between sign-ups and the start of the season. That's all.
Yeah, we want there's a fine line sort of, because it's like giving time for sign-ups, but then we also want to give, and that obviously it's the track choice. If we do it too short, and that then there's not too much time to do a home track, and it also giving them a bit longer gives enough time and knowing which way to go. Plus, this doesn't come into it, but with Craig, with his doing his track testing, was separate, and that he didn't even, at that point, he had no idea about when the next season was going to start or anything like that. He did actually ask me roughly when it was going to start and how long he's got, to see if he can make things better and that. And I gave him a benchmark, and he said he would work with that. So that's why he's been doing the testing, to try and see if we can improve tracks. Because he's heard what everyone said about the tracks, and also to try and get some more, in terms of your question, Sizzler, with the draft, yes, I think it was a success. The feedback will give us back, but we kind of know the answer, but we feel the draft was a success. We know the flaws that were in it this season that we will tighten up for next season. Obviously, we know the flaws, what needs to be fixed, but we don't want to fix them too much that we break what was a success before the season started. So that's golden picks. Yeah, probably would be back again. I'd assume. It's too early to say just yet, but I would say so. But yeah, as I say, it's we've realised the mistakes with the draft, and they will be corrected as much as we can without breaking what we've obviously done. But we've also got to find that happy medium when it comes to replacements, because you can do like for like if they're the riders out there to do like for like. If they're not, a bit of wiggle room. It's a fine line, but we do agree that obviously, we need to find that happy medium and be fair. So, but until then, that's literally all we can say at the minute.
See, what Tank actually meant was the start of the season's happening 2 weeks tonight. Yeah, get your sign-ins now, boys. But yeah, thanks for that information on season 21, Tank. Of course, we're all back for it, of course, aren't we, chaps?
You coming back?
So, we'll see.
Oh.
Kate's there with the comment of the night. There we go. Anyways, chaps, I think now we can wrap up tonight's show. One final thing before we do go. Moment of the season. Hadlington, yours first.
Personally, or just anything?
Overall.
I'd say being part of the same team, watching Owen progress, probably from number 7 to number 1.
Yeah. Shads?
Mine's a bit obscure. It's being in voice chat in Panthers practice with Bewitcher and Lofty having a go at each other, calling each other names and generally messing about. It was just insulting each other. It was hilarious. And it's funny enough, that's when our season started to turn around. We started doing voice chat practice. So that was absolutely hilarious. I was almost wet myself. If I hadn't been wearing my tenor pants, I would have been in trouble.
Tank, what's your moment of the season?
I'm just literally, it's going to be the win over the Cowboys, because I think that was, for the team, it was a moment of the season, and it was a turning point. And yeah, not personally for me, nothing was really going right until that meeting, and I was at reserve at the time, but it actually gave me that belief and confidence, because I kind of lost my confidence, and I thought, yeah, I've lost it, I'm not doing well. And I've done that the last couple of seasons on and off, sort of. But this season I was really struggling with it, and that turned it around for me. So I'm hoping to. Now that's been the turning point for me. That was my turning point and moment where I thought I've still got this. So yeah.
Yeah. And my moment of the season was that Dragons number 8 going in Heat 14, win the league for them. Yeah, I can't know who that was, but it was a good moment. I had to, of course. Chaps, it's been absolutely superb this season. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about in the coming weeks. Keep an eye out for podcast announcements, whether we're doing team building, whether we're doing track reviews and everything all that before the season starts next season. But until then, don't forget this podcast drops 8 p.m. on YouTube. We are looking next year and potentially doing some pre-recorded podcasts to get more hits on the YouTube page. We will see that when we get to it. But in the meantime, I want to say a very big thank you. And again, for a great season, Hadlington. So good night, mate.
Good night, all. And thank you all, obviously, yourself as well, Dan, for presenting the show most of the season.
Thank you, mate.
And all the other lads, Ben, Tank, for what they do behind the scenes of putting it all together. Obviously, that's not seen. So, yeah, hats off to those as well. And also, obviously, Shad's see you on track next season, mate.
No.
Dear.
No comment.
Well, if that's the case, then Shaz, it's been a great retirement for you. I wish you a very, very good night.
I'm
And,
very happy. I'm very happy. I've won my last ever competitive race in SDS in the World Final qualifier.
Yeah. So a very good night to you, Shads, and thank you for a great season, and a very good night and a great season as well to Tank. Good night, mate.
Good night, and it's been a good season.
Yeah, and it's been great. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in, people we brought in for interviews, reviews, breaking news, team changes, track reviews, track releases, the whole thing with the Craig doing his updates on the track. Hopefully some of those will get used next season. I've been Chester 430. It's been an absolute pleasure being your head presenter this season for all 4 back. We are back next season for season 21, so stick around for any news and views here on that one. But until then, take care, everyone. Have a great time off. And yeah, we'll see you back on track, season 21. Good night.